If you are over 60 and you have ever felt tired after lunch, foggy in the afternoon, or you have noticed your energy just is not what it used to be, stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I am about to share might explain a lot more than you think. There are 5 foods that millions of people over 60 eat almost every single day. Foods that look completely harmless, foods that are sitting in your kitchen right now, and they are quietly pushing your blood sugar higher than you realize. The scary part is that none of these foods taste sweet. Not one of them comes with a warning label. Most people would never suspect them. And by the time we get to the 5th one, I think you are going to want to go check your own pantry, because it is probably the one food almost everybody assumes is the healthy choice. Before we go any further, welcome to Prime Health Insight, the channel where we break down real, practical health information for people who want to feel strong, sharp, and independent as they get older, without the confusing medical jargon and without the scare tactics you see everywhere else online. If that sounds like something you want more of in your life, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button right now, because we publish videos just like this one every single week, and I promise you do not want to miss what is coming next. It only takes a second, and it genuinely helps this channel keep bringing you information that could protect your health for years to come. Okay, now let us get into it. Here is something worth thinking about for a moment. According to the most recent data from the Centers for Disease Control, nearly half of Americans over the age of 65 are already living with prediabetes, and many of them do not even know it. On top of that, close to 1 in 3 older adults has full-blown diabetes. That means if you are sitting in a room with 2 other people over 60, there is a very real chance that all 3 of you are dealing with some level of blood sugar trouble right now, quietly, without any dramatic symptoms to warn you. Blood sugar problems do not usually announce themselves with a siren. They creep in slowly, through fatigue, through brain fog, through weight that will not budge no matter what you try, through worse sleep, through slower healing, through those late afternoon energy crashes that so many people just chalk up to getting older. But age is not actually the real culprit here nearly as often as we assume. Diet is. And specifically, it is these 5 everyday foods that so many of us have been eating on repeat for years, sometimes decades, without ever connecting the dots. Let us start with the first one, because chances are you had it this morning, and chances are you had no idea it was a problem. The first food is ordinary white bread, the kind most of us grew up eating, the kind sitting in a bag on top of the refrigerator right now. Toast in the morning, a sandwich at lunch, maybe a dinner roll with soup at night. It feels wholesome. It feels like comfort food. It feels like something your mother made you as a kid, and there is nothing inherently wrong with bread as a concept. The problem is what happens to wheat during the refining process. When wheat is milled into white flour, the bran and the germ, which are the parts of the grain that contain fiber, healthy fats, and slow-digesting nutrients, are stripped away. What is left behind is mostly starch, and that starch breaks down into glucose incredibly fast once it hits your digestive system. In fact, white bread has a glycemic index that is often higher than plain table sugar. Let that sink in for a second. A slice of white toast can spike your blood sugar faster and higher than a spoonful of sugar would. Your body sees that flood of glucose coming in and has to scramble to release insulin to deal with it, and over years and years of doing this meal after meal, day after day, that constant demand on your pancreas can wear down your body's ability to manage blood sugar efficiently. This is especially hard on people over 60, because as we age, our insulin sensitivity naturally declines a bit anyway, which means the same slice of toast that your body handled just fine at 35 can hit much harder at 65 or 70. The good news is you do not have to give up bread completely. Choosing genuine whole grain bread, the kind where whole wheat flour or another whole grain is the very first ingredient, and where you can actually see bits of grain and seed in the bread, makes an enormous difference, because the fiber that remains slows down how fast that glucose enters your bloodstream. But most of the bread sold as wheat bread in stores is really just white bread with brown food coloring added to make it look healthier. Read the ingredient list, not the front of the package, and you will start to see the truth. Now here is the second food. And this one might surprise you even more, because it is something a lot of people specifically buy because they think it is the smart, health-conscious choice. The second food is flavored yogurt, specifically the low-fat or fruit on the bottom varieties that fill entire refrigerator aisles at the grocery store. Yogurt has a wonderful reputation. It is associated with probiotics, with gut health, with protein, and honestly, plain yogurt absolutely deserves that reputation. But the moment manufacturers add fruit flavoring, caramel swirls, honey, or make it low-fat, they typically compensate for the lost creaminess and lost flavor by loading in sugar, sometimes an astonishing amount of it. A single small container of flavored yogurt can contain close to the same amount of sugar as a candy bar or a can of soda. And here is the part that trips people up. Because it is yogurt, because it says protein on the label, because it is marketed toward health-conscious adults, most people never think twice about eating it every single day, sometimes even twice a day, as a snack or dessert substitute. The combination of that much added sugar with very little fiber to slow it down means your blood sugar rises sharply, then crashes a few hours later, leaving you hungry, tired, and reaching for something else sugary to pick you back up. This becomes a cycle that repeats itself day after day without you ever realizing the yogurt in your fridge is quietly driving it. If yogurt is part of your daily routine, and for many people over 60, it absolutely should be, because the protein and calcium are genuinely valuable at this stage of life. The fix is simple. Choose plain yogurt, whether that is regular or Greek style, and add your own fresh fruit, like berries, along with a small amount of cinnamon or a drizzle of honey if you want sweetness. You control exactly how much sugar goes in, instead of trusting a food company whose main goal is making the product taste addictive enough that you buy it again next week. Let us move on to the third food, and I want you to really pay attention here, because this one has fooled more meaning health-conscious people than almost anything else on this list. The third food is fruit juice, even the kind that proudly says 100% juice, no sugar added, right there on the label. This is one of the most misunderstood categories in the entire grocery store. People assume that because it comes from fruit, it must be healthy, and in a sense, whole fruit genuinely is healthy. But juice is not the same thing as fruit. When you eat a whole orange, you get fiber, you get the natural structure of the fruit that slows digestion way down, and it takes real chewing and time for your body to extract and absorb the natural sugars inside it. When you drink a glass of orange juice, all of that fiber and structure has been removed. You are left with the concentrated sugar from several pieces of fruit, sometimes 4 or 5 oranges worth, in a form your body absorbs almost instantly, with nothing standing in the way to slow it down. A glass of orange juice can actually raise your blood sugar faster than eating a donut, because at least the donut has some fat in it that slightly delays digestion. This is an enormous problem for a lot of older adults specifically, because juice has been marketed for decades as the healthy breakfast companion, the vitamin-packed choice, something you would confidently serve alongside eggs and toast without a second thought. Many people over 60 grew up with juice as a daily breakfast staple, and that habit has simply carried forward for their entire lives, quietly spiking their blood sugar every single morning before the day has even properly started. If you love the taste and the vitamin content, eating the actual whole fruit gives you nearly all of the same nutritional benefits while your body handles the natural sugar in a completely different, much gentler way, because the fiber is still intact and doing its job. Now, the fourth food on this list is one that a lot of people specifically eat because a doctor, a magazine, or a well-meaning friend once told them it was good for their heart, and it can be, but the way most people prepare and buy it completely changes that story. The fourth food is instant oatmeal, particularly the flavored packets, the ones labeled maple and brown sugar, or apple cinnamon, or peaches and cream, the little envelopes you tear open and just add hot water to. Plain oats, the old-fashioned rolled or steel-cut kind that actually takes several minutes to cook, are genuinely one of the better breakfast choices out there for blood sugar because they are digested slowly and they are rich in a specific type of fiber called beta-glucan that has actually been shown to help moderate how quickly sugar enters the bloodstream. But instant oatmeal packets are processed completely differently. The oats themselves are cut into much smaller pieces and pre-cooked so that they soften almost instantly, which unfortunately also means your body breaks them down and absorbs the sugar from them far more quickly. And then, on top of that faster digesting base, most flavored instant oatmeal packets have a substantial amount of added sugar mixed directly into the oats before they ever reach your bowl. So you end up with a breakfast that combines a faster digesting starch with a hefty dose of added sugar, all wrapped up in packaging that says heart-healthy whole grain right on the front. It is genuinely one of the most deceptive breakfast foods on grocery store shelves, specifically because the base ingredient, oats, has such a legitimately good reputation. The solution here does not mean giving up oatmeal at all. It simply means buying plain old fashioned or steel-cut oats, taking the extra few minutes to actually cook them properly, and then adding your own toppings, whether that is a handful of berries, a sprinkle of cinnamon, or a spoonful of natural nut butter. You get all of the real benefits of oats: the fiber, the slow-release energy, the fullness that lasts through the morning without the hidden sugar bomb. And now we arrive at the fifth food, the one I mentioned at the very beginning, the one that catches almost everybody off guard, because it might be the single most trusted health food on this entire list, the one people specifically reach for when they are trying to make a better choice. The fifth food is dried fruit: raisins, dried cranberries, dried apricots, dates, and those little trail mix bags that seem to appear in every grocery store checkout line specifically marketed toward health-conscious shoppers. Dried fruit carries this almost untouchable reputation as a wholesome, natural snack, something you would confidently hand to a grandchild instead of candy, something you would pack for a road trip because it feels responsible and clean. And in fairness, dried fruit does still contain real vitamins, minerals, and some fiber, so it is not without any value at all. But here is what almost nobody stops to think about. When fruit is dried, the water content is removed, but the sugar stays behind and becomes concentrated into a much smaller, much denser package. A small handful of raisins can contain nearly the same amount of sugar as a much larger serving of fresh grapes. Except with dried fruit, it is incredibly easy to eat far more of it in one sitting because it is small, sweet, chewy, and genuinely satisfying to snack on almost mindlessly while watching television or reading. People will polish off a quarter cup of dried cranberries without thinking twice, not realizing that quarter cup delivers a concentrated sugar hit that is honestly comparable to eating a handful of gummy candy, just dressed up in healthier packaging and marketing. This is precisely why so many people over 60 end up eating this food daily without a single moment of concern, because it has been positioned for years as the smart snack choice, the thing you eat instead of cookies or chips. If dried fruit is a regular part of your routine, the smartest adjustment is simply portion size, keeping servings small, pairing it with a handful of actual nuts to slow down digestion with some healthy fat and protein, and when possible, choosing fresh fruit instead, since fresh fruit delivers the same nutrients with far more volume, far more fiber, and far less concentrated sugar per bite. So there you have it. 5 foods that quietly show up in so many daily routines for people over 60: white bread, flavored yogurt, fruit juice, flavored instant oatmeal, and dried fruit. None of them look dangerous. None of them taste like a problem. And that is exactly what makes them so sneaky, because the foods that genuinely damage blood sugar over the long run are almost never the obviously unhealthy ones like candy or soda, because most people over 60 already know to limit those. It is the foods hiding in plain sight, wearing a health halo, that do the real long-term damage. One ordinary breakfast, one ordinary snack, one ordinary day at a time. Now, I want to be really clear about something important before we go any further, because I do not want you walking away from this video feeling anxious or like you need to throw out your entire pantry today. This video is meant to inform you, not to scare you, and definitely not to replace guidance from your own doctor. Everybody's body responds differently, especially if you already have diabetes, prediabetes, or you are managing this alongside medication. So if any of this resonates with you, the best next step is simply bringing it up with your physician or a registered dietitian who can look at your specific situation and help you build a plan that actually works for your life. Small, sustainable changes, made one at a time, consistently, will always beat a drastic overnight overhaul that you cannot realistically stick with for more than a week or two. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you, because this channel genuinely gets better when this community shares real experiences. Down in the comments, let me know which one of these 5 foods surprised you the most. Was it the bread, the yogurt, the juice, the oatmeal, or was it the dried fruit that really caught you off guard? I read through the comments regularly, and honestly, some of the best video ideas on this channel have come directly from what you all share down there. So do not be shy, drop a comment, and let us start a real conversation about it. And if this video gave you even one useful thing to think about today, do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear it, whether that is a parent, a spouse, a sibling, or a friend who could use this same information in their own life. So many people over 60 are managing their health completely alone, without anyone around them talking about these everyday details that genuinely matter. And a single share from you could be the exact thing that helps someone else catch a problem early, long before it turns into something much more serious. It costs you nothing, it takes about 5 seconds, and it could genuinely make a difference in somebody's life. If you found value in this video, please take a moment to hit that like button as well, because it helps this information reach more people just like you, people who are trying to take real, practical control of their health as they get older, without falling for fear-based headlines or miracle cure nonsense. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is a great time, because here on Prime Health Insight, we are going to keep bringing you honest, practical, no-nonsense health information every single week, the kind of information that actually respects your intelligence and gives you real tools you can use starting today. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself, pay attention to what is really on your plate, and I will see you in the very next video.